Well, Ryan Coogler is back with his fourth movie, not counting the ones nobody's seen. Sinners. Connor, what is the plot of Sinners?
Sinners stars Ryan Coogler's muse. Michael B. Jordan has two different characters, Smoke and Stack, who are twins. They have a cousin that sings very well, and then they open a club, and there's some drama because Stack is banging a white chick, and Smoke is banging a chick that does voodoo magic.
That's true.
But then they start a nightclub and everything seems good until the White Devils show up.
Yeah.
And
the White Devils in this case being
white vampires. They called them the White Devils at one point.
Yeah.
But then then the vampires come and possess everybody at the club, basically, except for a handful of people. And Michael B. Jordan is like, damn, this sucks. And then they fight a bunch of vampires.
Yeah.
So, Aiden, what did you think of Sinners?
Well, time for trailer talk. The first few trailers did a very good job of hiding that this is a vampire movie.
I like how this is a required topic.
And I would have loved if this was a secret vampire movie, but I saw the final trailer like 2 days ago and it showed him like, I thought it'd be like a religious horror movie, honestly. Because like the trailer was just like close-ups of crosses and candles going out, and I was like, oh, it's going to be like a ghost horror movie with mobsters that are played both
Like
by
The
Michael B. Jordan.
Exorcist with Michael B. Jordan playing two different mobsters.
Yeah, that's what the last trailer made it look like, and it's not that. It's From Dusk Till Dawn. The first two acts of this movie are pretty much played straight, or like the first act and a half, where it's like this slice of life drama.
Weird kind of drama. Michael B. Jordan's definitely a couple of cartoon characters, but everyone else is pretty slice of life.
Yeah, everyone else is pretty slice of life. You got Preacher Boy, who's, rebelling against his dad with music, and you got all the townsfolk and the relationship drama. The Michael B. Jordans are a bit cartoonish, like when one of them starts blasting people for trying to steal from his truck, blows off their kneecaps.
Well, one wears a blue hat and one wears a red hat, so you can tell them
The
apart,
Mario
like Mario
brothers.
and Luigi, yeah.
They're even Italian gangsters.
Yep.
Yeah, and then it's very well shot. There's a lot of good music. There's a big elaborate one shot with the dance number. Lots of one shots in the first half. And then it becomes a vampire movie. And it's fun. It's From Dusk Till Dawn, basically. It's not an overly fancy vampire movie. It's just there's some fun scenes of them going back and forth with the vampires trying to get in because they have to be invited in. The big finale has some decent action if it is a bit all over the place and jumpy. Lots of cuts in that final action sequence, and then the big dramatic finale when all the vampires go up in flames. I had a lot of fun with it. I liked the first half. I was interested, and I think it kind of has shades of that "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" type grimy southern musical thing going on, and then it becomes a goofy, campy Jordan Peele vampire movie in the last half. I would have liked if that final trailer didn't clue me off that something fucked up was going to happen. I think it would have been really funny if this mostly straightforward drama just turned insane in the end, but I was thoroughly entertained. I enjoyed it a lot. Very well shot, very well scored. Everyone in the cast is great. Michael B. Jordan's kind of hamming it up, but it works. It is a lot of things. It's basically a Jordan Peele movie. It's like Us. It's more like Us.
Version.
It's definitely campy.
I mean, Jordan Peele's movies have a level of camp, but also a level of more just like weird stuff happens, but there's always more of an anchor point in Jordan Peele's movies where there's like a normal guy and weird shit's happening around him. This movie's
The twins
normal
are not
shit. This movie's normal shit happening around
two goofy
goofy cartoon characters, and then
and then vampire
shit starts getting weird. So
Yeah.
it's like from a character perspective, sort of the inverse of a Jordan Peele movie, but similar in that there's like a lot of human drama, and obviously Jordan Peele and Ryan Coogler both tackle a lot of race-based drama,
Yeah.
as you would expect. They're not going to do 1930s Southern, predominantly black town and not touch on that shit. So
Yeah.
it's to be expected.
Yeah.
But
It's definitely more us than
Inversed.
than the bad one or don't blink,
Get Out.
get out. Why did it call
What?
Don't Blink?
I didn't. I thought. What was that last one? Nope. I thought Nope was.
Oh,
okay.
I meant Nope. Us is the bad one.
Us was pretty bad. Nope and Get
Nope
Out are
is-
both pretty good.
Nope is the kind of silly one.
Nope is weird, and Get Out is pretty straightforward. I think like
Us is the bad one. Nope is the silly one. This is more along the lines of Nope than the other two.
yeah.
Us takes itself way too seriously, and Get Out is, I mean, Get Out's definitely not as try hard as Us, but it is certainly a much more straightforward movie than Nope is. Nope is weird.
Nope felt like a movie Jordan Peele wanted to do, and Us felt like something he had to do because he's like, I need to make a follow up to Get Out. And then he finally made something that would work. I mean, it's a movie that feels like a guy who had a hit movie on his hands, and he's like, in the studio said, do again, and then
Yeah.
Us is what was made.
This definitely feels like this is Ryan Coogler's weird passion project, like what James Wan does, where he makes a big shitty studio movie and then he makes some absolutely batshit
Bonkers.
stupid.
Overly expensive, but has the right to do it because they're
Yep.
made $1 billion for Marvel or whatever.
They made $1 billion off of Black Panther, so they said, okay, you can make the weird 1930s gangster musical vampire love drama thing.
I mean, Nolan was the king of the. It's kind of crazy, like when you think about now that you get like a Nolan movie every 5 years, but during the Batman movie, Nolan kind of was having his golden age during the trilogy, and like every year he was dropping a movie during that time,
Yeah.
basically.
Nolan used to be the king of one for me, one for you.
Yeah.
But now Nolan's just allowed to do whatever he wants, so
Yeah.
he just does whatever he wants.
Yeah, the getting out of the one for me, one for you cycle is kind of hard because you have to have a couple of hits.
You have to be like Christopher Nolan is like the one guy everyone
Like, I
can
feel
name.
like if Peyton Reed went out, and I mean, Peyton Reed lost his privileges because Ant-Man 3 was so bad they weren't going to let him make his own movie. Sorry, but, you know.
Yeah, you have to make an
I mean, the
actually good
Russo
movie.
brothers did like 10 for me in a row, but they just didn't make a single good movie without having a basis. But
Yeah, they were all awful.
we'll talk plenty about the Russo brothers over the next year.
We
as
never watched Electric State. I just remembered that.
I planned on it, and then I was like, actually, I haven't watched any Russo brothers movies since Endgame, and I'm kind of fine with that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I actually, I liked this a lot. I think if I was pleasantly surprised by the insanity of the last half, I would have liked it even more. But I had a shocking amount of fun with what looked like weird 1940s black gangster movie.
Yeah.
Connor, what'd you think of Sinners?
I'm kind of mixed on Sinners. I like it more than I dislike it. I think there's a lot to like. For some reason, like, the aspect ratio and the cinematography felt very, like, DSLR student film. Especially in some establishing shots, I thought it looked really bad for some reason. And then, like, on paper, I like the color palette, and I like a lot of what they did. I just don't know why, but I thought the movie was pretty ugly, truth be told. I didn't think the shot composition excited me very much, except for those. I mean, there was a couple scenes where shot composition was the name of the game, like those long one shots. But I just thought, like, for some reason, I just found the color of the movie and stuff to be not very good, and that's just a random personal thing that didn't bother anybody but me. But regardless of that, I thought I was a little mixed on Michael B. Jordan's two characters at first. Eventually, I came around to them.
Yeah.
I think the base drama plot. I think the start might have been a bit of a slow burn. I don't know. I'm torn because part of me is like foreshadow vampires more, and part of me is like hide the vampires. Yeah. I either would have wanted it, but like the problem is you have lead characters that are so goofy that like just make the whole thing a vampire movie. Make Michael B. Jordan walking through the street and he's like sees a vampire and then he wakes up one night in a cold sweat and he's like, I was dreaming of demons. Other Michael B. Jordan, and then other Michael B. Jordan says, "Holy shit, bro! Well, let's open our nightclub or whatever." Like, part of me just wanted that because the main characters were so campy. I almost would have preferred, sort of, and I don't know. Like, we kind of compared this and said like, in Jordan Peele movies, you got a couple normal people that are surrounded by weird shit, and this movie's kind of the opposite, where you got like normal people trying to deal with these two weird Chicago gangster cartoon character guys. And I think I would have probably connected to the movie more if it was the inverse, where Michael B. Jordan's like, what the fuck, and this town's just full of weirdos. Maybe there could have been vampires amongst them instead of like this like side plot about Ku Klux Klan vampires that gestates in the background over two scenes before it comes to fruition.
Yeah.
Now a lot of these are nitpicks because I generally am favorable to the movie, but I think it's just minor things in my personal preference that made me not connect to this as much as other people. I did think when it got like to the vampire stuff, I had a lot of fun. There was this one shootout at the end where the Ku Klux Klan semi-randomly shows up. Like, it was sort of established, but, like, the movie was over, and then the Ku Klux Klan drives up, and they're like, we're gonna kill Michael B. Jordan, and then they get in the shootout. Yeah. And then the ending was pretty much the exact same ending down to shot composition of Wakanda Forever, where he's sitting there with, like, a baby, and it's all blurry, and so on and so on. I'm like,
yeah, you're not wrong.
You can't think of how to end it in any different way than your last fucking movie. I mean, I'm giving it a lot of shit because Aiden already covered a lot of the stuff I liked about the movie. But there's some things that kind of irked me with the movie. And I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it just felt like... I think the best way to describe how the movie was shot, in my view, is it kind of looked like how they shoot Marvel movies, like similar equipment and like shot composition and stuff, but for like this
weird
movie that's like a drama for the first half. Like, I don't mind it so much for the action scenes, and I think I noticed it less later, but it's like these like hyper HD digital cameras, and then you got like old-timey lighting and stuff, and it just didn't mesh super well for me. Like, maybe shoot something like this.
The worst looking parts are like the scenes where they're driving through the cotton fields in the car, and it's like, okay, they're
mushy.
They're on like the weird Disney glass dome thing.
Yeah,
in a stationary car.
Yeah, there was some choppy CGI. Like, there's a really bad looking CGI train at one point.
Yeah. The vampires burning up looks kind of bad, but I think it's fun in a campy way that it looks kind of bad.
Yeah, that's kind of... I also, like, I liked the scene where the vampires kind of finally go into the nightclub and start fighting people, because it reminded me of Blade. Like, what if Blade took place 100 years ago? But yeah, no, I just, like... I don't know. I wasn't... I feel like a lot of people are hyping this movie to oblivion, and I think it is very okay. I think it's good. I think I'll go so far as to call it good, but some people are like, cinema has returned. It's like, there's plenty of good movies that are actually much better than this. I guess for like mainstream cinema, it is far more creative than most. But like,
As far as like action and horror goes, it's pretty up there for the last couple of years. But
yeah, no, in terms of like $100 million action movie blockbuster, I think it's very original. Don't get me wrong.
yeah, it's original.
It just feels like something that like Jordan Peele or maybe one of those A24 guys would have done better.
Yeah,
Because it kind of had like, it was kind of weird. It's like an
I think this
A24
definitely would have
plot
been better if
with
it was
a
Jordan Peele
cartoon
movie. I
lead.
can't even deny that.
It was an A24 plot with a cartoon character as the lead that shot like a Marvel film. That's how
That turns into a Jordan Peele movie.
that turns into a Jordan Peele movie in the entirety of the third act.
Yeah.
That's the mashup there, and something about that didn't click. I liked the characters quite a bit. I thought there was like some good writing and good moments, and I thought like I don't know. I thought there was a lot of good stuff. I also wish there was more of a dichotomy in the brothers, perhaps, because
Yeah, they're basically the same.
they're basically the same character. One wears a red hat and one wears a blue hat, so you can tell them apart. Like,
One is
I am
slightly
not
nicer than
entirely
the other, but like
sure.
only like 10%.
yeah, one of them's supposed to be like the bad boy, but they're both like killers and shit. And one wears a blue hat and one wears a red hat, which is how you tell them apart. But I honestly couldn't tell you if the good one or the bad one was fucking Haley Steinfeld.
The bad one fucks the voodoo woman, and the good one fucks the white girl. And
Yeah.
other than that, like any scene where they're not wearing
But they're
their
both like
Mario
Italian
hats,
gangsters, so that's
any
kind
scene
of
where they're not wearing their Mario hats or
Or
fucking their respective woman, it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell.
It's virtually meaningless. I think the twins angle perhaps could have got played up more, because I mean we're getting into spoilers here.
There's no mistaken identity.
One of the
hijinks.
brothers died, and I'm like, I don't know which brother died until like 3 scenes later when he's like, Stack's dead, and I'm like, okay, so it's Stack that died. But like it's irrelevant, sort of, because the characters are written so similarly.
Yeah.
I wish there was a way, and I don't want it to. I understand there's like nuance, and I don't want it to be. I mean, but the characters are already cartoon characters, so perhaps it's
You might as well take it.
you might as well take it a step forward further, since the characters are already pretty campy.
No, you're not wrong.
And I mean, there's little character differences. Like one has a little more charity for like the people of this community, where he's like, hey, you know, this isn't Chicago anymore. We're with our local people down south. A lot of people are poorer. And the other one's more analytical. Which of the two is the more analytical and which is less? I'm sure they were wearing their Mario hats at the time, but I got confused. There wasn't enough to like make them different. And I feel like if you made them more different, like polar opposites of each other, there would perhaps be more interesting things to do when you remove one of. Oh wait, I didn't even take my sip yet.
Yeah, frankly, you probably could have just combined the two characters into one character called Smokestack, and not a lot would change. You'd have to drop either the voodoo plot or the white woman plot.
No, I think you could do both if he was like, but
More different.
if he was like, you know, hitting on his girlfriend or something, or if he like had kind of this like duality where he wasn't really dating anybody, but he liked both of them, and you got these kind of opposites where you got, because the girlfriends were somewhat interesting, because one girlfriend is like this very like roots heavy religious priestess witch woman, and then you got like prim and proper white woman who's down with the culture or whatever.
Yeah.
She was invited to the barbecue.
The queen of the snow bunnies showed up to the barbecue and everyone was cool with it.
Yeah, frankly.
And then when the evil white vampires show up, they're like, how come that white woman's allowed inside?
And like, she's chill, you know.
That shit's
I'm
funny.
clapping her cheeks. But,
Also,
yeah.
why were I thought the Native Americans were going to come back because they were chasing the vampire, and they're like, that dude's a vampire.
didn't even
Like, you
think
should probably
about it.
kill him. And then she's like, I don't wanna. And then they leave, and they never
also,
come
apparently,
back.
the vampires probably left because none of the Native Americans were vampires, and in the final scenes, there were no Native American vampires.
Yeah, the
And
natives.
given that vampires
they
are
just
immortal, the
drove
natives
off.
just drove them off. Like, the natives are just. They knew what was up right away. with those vampire characters. Yeah, I don't know. It sounds like I'm hating on the movie. I liked it, but I have criticisms, which is why I don't think I could go as far as most people in saying this is like some sort of masterpiece. I think there's some messy elements mixed in overall good concept, and like Aiden said, I feel like if Jordan Peele made the movie, you'd probably just have one character named Smokestack, and he's more normal, and perhaps the weirdness is more around them.
Yeah.
Because as it stands, I feel like part of me feels like the Smokestack characters were invented for an earlier draft, and then they just never drops them or combines them or changed them much when the rest of the movie. Because I'm almost wondering if there was more of like the campy exploitation stuff from the third act was pulled through more. You also have like the last battle with the Ku Klux Klan people, and it felt like
That feels
we
like
were
it's out of a
missing
different
like
movie.
2 scenes, because there's one scene where he comes up. So the Ku Klux Klan guy owns the barn that they make this little club in.
Yeah, and he's
and
like,
sells
Ku
it to
Klux
him.
Klan? Never heard of those fellas.
Never heard of those fellas, and you're like, okay, well he's definitely in the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah.
So something's gonna happen here, because you can't have a Ku Klux Klan member in this.
I thought they were
movie
gonna be.
without
I thought they
having-
were gonna become like vampires and do something, but there's just like an epilogue at the end where he just kills normal non-vampire Ku Klux Klan.
Well, yeah. Then one of the vampires is like, the Ku Klux Klan's coming for you, so you might as well just become a vampire. And then the Ku Klux Klan indeed does show up after the movie's done and finished, and then he fights the Ku Klux Klan guys. And
Yeah,
That's
that
what
didn't
they
need to
chose.
be there. That
It
could've
was
been
it
cut.
was pointless. And like, if you're gonna do that, like, make it your Django Unchained moment where you're really playing it up. That's when you gotta go like
there wasn't-
Tarantino on it. Like
there
Once
wasn't a
Upon a
whole lot of
Time in
gore,
Hollywood.
surprisingly.
Like, I want to see. If we're gonna do the point where you introduce
The can through the face of the Ku Klux Klan.
where you have this thing where 30 Ku Klux Klan members come armed to the teeth to kill one man, or 2 guys,
Two guys.
presumably
Two
is what they
guys.
thought. Even though one of the brothers isn't there anymore, like, you would think, you know, you have like the bloody, and it felt like it was kind of emulating like that part in Django where he gets revenge on the plantation, or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood
not
when they
nearly
fight the
that
Manson
gory.
family, kind of like that overindulgent Quentin Tarantino style thing that
Especially
we
in a movie
love,
like
even though
this.
it's somewhat pointless.
Especially in a movie like this, if you went full over the top with that, no, it would not. They killed 1,000 vampires.
Well, like,
It
one
doesn't-
of them
it
is
doesn't
like, he
matter.
blows up a truck with a hand grenade, and you're like, I want to see body parts flying out of the truck. And then the truck starts on fire, and there's clearly no one in it. It's like, that's like a 1970s Osmoot. Like, did they just disintegrate? And it's honestly probably something for the ratings board. I don't know what this movie was. I mean, I assume this movie was rated R. It had to have been, but. So I guess I have no idea why. Maybe just it would have been too hard or expensive, or I don't know.
Yeah, I
But
have no idea.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have a lot, like I said, I have a lot of complaints. I think it's like one draft away from being an amazing movie. I'm probably like, no offense to the cinematographer, but we shouldn't be sitting with the Marvel style shooting in a movie like this. This felt like something that could have been like a grindhouse midnight movie. And I feel like people have been so desperate for more creative, weird movies like this that this movie might be a touch overrated by critics and audiences. In my opinion. But I don't think it's bad, and I think there's a lot of good elements. I just feel like so many moments where I'm like, oh, this could have been like amazing, like 5 out of 5, but as it stands, I just think it's good. So, Aiden, would you recommend Sinners?
Absolutely. I love the James Wan Malignant type, weird, campy, non-horror. Well, in Malignant, it's like supernatural horror turns into stupid horror, and this is like weird drama turns into stupid horror. I loved it. I thought it was a lot of fun. There's some very impressive moments, especially the big musical number in the middle. I thought it was a lot of fun. Connor, would you recommend Sinners?
Yeah, I'd recommend Sinners. I thought it was a pretty well done film. Like I said, I think there's a lot to like. I think there's some stuff they could have done better, but I still think... I think Ryan Coogler's also kind of had the crutch of franchises up to now, and this is kind of his first original.
First big original,
since he's become in the big leagues, so I would say even though I don't think it's perfect, there's definitely a lot of potential here for Ryan Coogler's, I guess, original works, and I don't know, I'll support any director who wants to leave the kind of Marvel fields, and I guess that might be a little racy.
Corporate slop.
The corporate slop. I was gonna say leave the Marvel plantation, but that wasn't actually intentional. But also kind of, yeah. I support it, and I think there's a lot of potential. Obviously, a lot of people love this movie, so what the fuck do I know? But it's still very good. I think you'll have a good time, even if it might be just a wee bit overhyped.